No, when was it? Last week, one day last week, she had to go to court. And she said she had to investigate a case. And she said I was on the job three days and I got to go on the case, my very first one. She says, I can't believe the defense attorney didn't eat me up because, well, how long have you been an investigator? So she said.
4 days.
No, she says, no, from today, she says.
Oh.
Today, how long have I been an investigator, right?
Right.
Not when you take the case. He never caught on that. She's only was on the job for 3 days.
Right.
She said she thought when he asked that question, she was going to get eaten up. Here we go.
Right.
There were 4 guys. And I think it was they burglarized a bunch of places. And the other 3 copped out. And he was the only one who didn't cop out. So what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, right.
Right? What do you think is going to happen? He had a public defender. So do you think the public defender really giving care or even?
I know.
You know, he's going through the motions.
It's always,
It's gotta be tough when you know when the guy still needs to pay as long. If it's questionable or if he didn't do it, you know,
Right.
there's gotta be a difference. But by the time they get to you, A, B, and C.
Yeah.
The live.
Get used to the area, the campus, the living on your own.
Yeah.
That sort of thing first, and then she can add the commute to the package, but let's not do that.
But a lot of those colleges, I don't know how private, but I know a lot of,
I didn't know how.
like Geneseo, Albany, Peruvian, Albany, same way.
That's how it used to be.
They used to do that. Not that my daughter really wanted to go to Geneseo, she applied to Geneseo, and she got denied. She was in the top 5 of the class. She had like a 96 average. She got denied. Why I found out was because I was around so many kids. Then she gets the acceptance letter before she even goes to college. She accepted in January. Start in Albany, I'm gonna finish it home.
Right.
I'm not gonna down there or delay my college.
Well, she needs to stay on campus. She's not gonna turn study. She's not gonna been in school for a while. I don't want a 17-year-old.
No.
Living on her own. I go, then we have to enter into the disagreement. Let's just, she needs to be on campus. Of course, he never went to college or left her far, so he has no idea what the real world was like when she got to college. So I told him to sit down. He goes, leave my checkbook on it. Okay, you believe that. You believe your checkbook's on its own. Don't live that where else belongs.
I wish I could have left my checkbook out of the world.
Yeah, since you don't know what's in your checkbook, you just pretend it's not involved. We're good. When people ask me how many cows are, I'm like, not enough. The check is not big enough. You can put more cows up there.
It's put a lot more color on the people's college there.
I will call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. And first on the agenda, we have Rosie Jager from Community Action, who is with us electronically because she's out of state. And there are a couple of actions that we need to take care of. The first is a grant application with the New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation for COVID farm worker housing program. And Rosie, if you want to comment on that.
Sure. For the past month or so, James Bragg, Joan Penson, and myself have been meeting to work out a plan for this grant. And we also brought in a group of farmers and the staff person and OCR and did a full review of the program with the farmers and to determine ultimately if there was any interest in pursuing this program. And subsequent, because there are a lot of rules and guidelines and we need to make sure that we can meet those rules, one of which is income eligibility for the farm workers in the housing. And number 2, some of the contract work that has to be done. So, and subsequent, we've gotten 5 farmers that have reached out that feel that they have a project and they can meet the income eligibility. And so we would like to move forward on putting a grant proposal together for that. So that's why I'm here. And thank you very much for getting this on the agenda. It's a short window of time to turn this around. And a short window of time to get this project done. They really want to see it done within 12 months, 18 months max. So, any questions?
You said there's 5 farms that are interested?
So far, yes. Yep.
I don't need to know the particulars of which farms, but the size of the farms, are they our larger operators or some of our smaller ones?
There's one that's, I would say, is relatively small, 2 large operations, and a couple, I would say, more medium size. So we are all over the board. And we still have to work out what the ultimate criteria will be. Obviously, it's the level of conditions of current housing and the need, and then, of course, the income eligibility. Because this grant is, as it was mentioned here in the agenda, it's really has to be a health and safety measures related to COVID, whether we're, being able to isolate, being able to clean surfaces relatively well, being able to do airflow the way it should be done, and also, of course, being able to actually get the project done within a relative period of time.
Will each farmer have to pay how many people live in these units per person?
I'm not quite sure I heard the question.
He wants to know if the farmers have to pay. Is it a match grant? Is that what you're asking? Is it a match?
If a farmer has 20 workers in his housing unit, he pays for 20 people, or how is that going to work?
So the income, it's based on the income level of the individual farm worker. And 51% of the farm workers have to be below 80% of the average adjusted gross income, which frankly, that's been a bit of a challenge for some farmers too.
Right.
Right. So
the farm can't do any in-kind work, right? They can't have like shovel-ready areas or anything. It's a very particular grant, from what I understand of it.
that's correct. Yes.
I'm excited that there's 5 farmers that feel that they can meet the requirements.
Right. And the income hurdle was really the first thing that they were charged with going back and looking at to see if that could really work.
Who's going to maintain these units?
I mean, that becomes the farmer's obligation in the end. Most of what we're getting from the farmers is, being able to, the overcrowding, being able to have single bedroom units rather than doubling up.
I'll make the motion. I'm excited that we had some opportunity for that grant. Excuse me.
Any other questions or comments on the project? Now we've got a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, and next on this agenda is a resolution authorizing the chairman to sign the GLOW Memorandum of Understanding 3-year plan. Rosie doesn't know about that. That's some housekeeping for us. All right. And this would be from July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2023. Can I get any motion? Motion from Supervisor Davis. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anyone with any questions for Ms. Shader? If not, I believe you will be attending our meeting next month to do a little presentation on some of your programs.
Yes. Yes, thanks.
Okay. All right.
She should also be here on May 10th to go over this again, because there'll be a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
And friends, she might bring friends with her.
We do have Mr. Brady here with us today. And he'll be back. All right. All right. Thank you very much then, Rosie, unless you have something more for us.
All set here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on to Veteran Services. Got a lot of information there, we can. All right. Your Dwyer report.
Yes, we currently have 118 active claims that we're working on. And in the past month, new monthly awards totaled $14,202. And retroactive awards, $64,132.64. Total amount of money that came into the county, $78,334.64. And all up calls, 189, office visits, 33. And a total between that and the Dwyer events we ran, we had contact over 400 even.
Can you send that report to me, because
It's different.
it's different. Send me that again.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, because we had a retroactive amount that came in after I sent it to you.
Okay,
That's what happened, yeah.
good, thank you.
We had 6 Dwyer events, we had 4 coffee hours, and we had 2 at Beaver Hollow, which something we're continuing to do each month, having 2. As well as warmed up, we'll do like archery lessons, bonfire, dance, dinner, that kind of thing there. They're very good to work with. Very, very nice people. And then on February 14th, after Rob and myself, it was volunteers, I stopped the Valentine's Day packages. I went up to VA and dropped off 68 for them. They were pretty happy to receive those. And last Friday, we held my first equine interaction therapy over at Wilcott Farm, where they brush the horses and all that in the afternoon, get to ride them. We had a total of 9 there, and it seemed like people were very happy with it, and hopefully we'll get more coming up for that. And then for the other farm main encounters, where they have a therapist on hand. We already have 2 children recently deceased Afghanistan veterans that I just started that, and we have at least 3 more people that will be starting here in the near future. And tomorrow, we're taking a busload of 40 veterans to the Sabres game. We're meeting at 5 o'clock. And then hopefully in the fall, we'll do another Sabres game, hopefully the Bills game, depending on what the funding situation is at that time.
That's, yeah, good one.
That's right. Okay, now we'll do a November game, it's supposed to be cold. We get tickets. And today is Vietnam Veterans Day. And today at Warsaw Village Park, we did a drive-through, a bunch of goods. We gave away some wire, others were donations. We got a pretty good turnout of veterans driving through, welcome them home, and that they seem to be touched by that. We made the last year for the first time, so something we look to continue to do every year, March 29th. And in July, I met with, this upcoming July, we're hoping to do fishing and pike. Met with Larry Becker, supervisor, came to my office last week, and that's the early stages, but there's more on that in the future.
Yeah, on that one,
Yes.
going back to my child, the veterans used to come out every Wednesday and fish up there. We may want to get a hold of the DEC and see if they would do a fish stocking up at the dam the weekend before the veterans come out, so that there's adequate fish there for them to catch. Because they used to do that, like I said, every Wednesday they had, the veterans would come out. And it was a big deal for us kids, because we'd go up and bait their hooks and take the fish off for them and things like that. So, but they always stocked it, and it was always good for us kids, because some of the fish migrated downstream where we could fish. At that time, you couldn't fish in the dam during the summer when the veterans were there.
I'll talk to Larry about that, because he has a lot of contacts.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. I know that Sandy King and I had been talking about it earlier today.
And Larry was already able to get the DEC to waive the official license for that single day,
Right,
probably Wednesday.
it's great.
Yeah,
It's great to see that. Hopefully you can make that an annual thing.
I'd like to, yeah, have hot dogs, hamburgers, all that, make a whole day out of it for
Ish.
them. For not catch and keep. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, they used to do it dinner after they got done fishing.
Yeah, we have to find out if they let us keep the fish. I'd fry some up right there. I like it. That's all I have to wire for now. Is there any other questions related to that? Our next is a resolution for proclamation of April being the month of the military child. And that's, I think it's important for Wyoming County to focus on this because it helps, because this proclamation was put in the words part of the struggle that the children had, which when I was in Iraq, we had the boys were, some were married, but none had kids at the time. And so the ones that did have kids, so states for them. But now I ended up being a father myself. And, I can't imagine this 12, 15 months with a kid, those milestones they miss and how much they grow on that amount of time. The worry they have every day, if they're not going to do it. That's this proclamation.
Can I get a motion on the proclamation? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who are we gonna present it to?
I say I get another child here. I got some people.
Maybe yours.
Corey.
Could he fly up?
I was gonna say, it's probably a little late come up for that.
Okay, and then number 3.
The No Oil from Terrorist Act. It's a House Bill, HR 6969. I don't know what we as a county can do. If we voice our support for the bill. Because it's, the current administration, they were attempting to purchase oil from hostile nations, including Iran. And this is particularly with the bill on the Iran side of it. As us to express our support for this bill. Because it was bad enough when in 2016, we secretly earned about $400 million in cash to their country. And Iranian government-owned factories produce bombs and explosives that reach to our boys in Iran, including friends of mine. And it pisses me off, excuse my language, but it pisses me off. This government wants to put more money into that in the Iranian government coffers. So I ask for support for that, to show that we don't stand with giving terrorist countries money when they're killing our boys. That's all I have to say about that. Is there any
I
questions?
did reach out to Chris Sullivan. Right now, there's no companion bill in the Senate. So if you did anything, you would ask to support this and you would ask for a companion bill to be introduced in the Senate.
We need to do that as a resolution or just,
As a resolution. Yeah.
so who wants to disappoint or not disappoint the Veteran Services Officer?
I'll move it.
Okay. So we have a motion. Are there any questions?
Which office did you reach out to?
Sure.
I emailed them, but I was ignored like past emails to his office. But Senator Gillibrand and our congressman, they both responded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else for us?
That's all I have for now. If anybody has anything for me. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Who do you have for the veteran?
What's that?
Who do you have planned for the veteran flag or the pledge?
Veteran in Kyle Ward, he's married into the whole kind of family, the horse therapy, worked out well. Him and his wife are both Navy veterans, so we had one and two.
It's only.
Okay, let me give you some numbers. So in the, for the Office for the Aging, there's 70 participants total in the ISEP program, and 50 of those are active. Out of those 50, we have 21 getting PCA 1 services, 23 getting PCA 2, and 6 are getting a personal response button. In the respite program, we have 33 participants total, 26 of those are active. Right now, we have 1 in adult daycare, 0 in PCA 1, 7 in PCA 2, 1 that's taking advantage of overnights, and 17 that get the lifeline button. And we also have 41 private pay lifeline buttons.
The one in the adult daycare, is that posted?
It is, yeah. As far as Alzheimer caregiver, this month was a busy month. She's serving 50 families. For home delivered meals, we have 290 active participants and 251 went out today. Congregate meal sites are averaging 15 and the Pine Lounge is averaging 39. So while we're talking about congregate meal sites, I wanted to just give you a quick update. I think probably you've known since COVID, we've only had one of our congregate sites open down in Arcade. One of the reasons that we haven't been able to get back up and running in our other areas is because our longtime meal site manager decided to retire. And after advertising and word of mouth, and we still don't have anyone to run meal sites. So we are taking a bit of a different approach, and we're just in the process of investigating. But we've got a connection going with the Connect 55 group. A lot of those folks get home delivered meals from us, but we talked with Mary Nichols about the possibility of having our meal site there on Wednesdays. Now, we used to have it over at the Valley Chapel Church, but what that would do is it would allow all those folks that get the home delivered meals to just come downstairs for some socialization, and then anyone from outside the community on that Wednesday could come in. The beautiful part for me is that Mary has like an activities director. Her name is Jill. I can't think of her last name offhand. But Jill is going to do the meal site, and it's no cost to me. So it's going to be added in as one of their activities. The other thing that we're doing is seeing that our restaurant dining is so successful and has been, we're really pushing to get some more restaurants involved. And we've gotten a great response. I can tell you a few of them are in Warsaw. We've got the Amber Lantern Rory's. We've got Silver Lake Diner. Those 3 places right now are interested in possibly contracting with us. The difference would be with restaurant dining is we would kind of shape up the whole program, and what that might look like is where a senior can come in and buy coupons to go to any of our restaurants any day and get a hot meal. So that's going to take a little bit of work on my end as far as policies, because we certainly can't give 3 meals a day, 30 days a year out. We do get a live reimbursement, meaning that folks buy the coupons, but we're gonna take a little bit of advice from some of the other counties that have moved into this, and they do cap it off. They basically say, you can get 15 meals in that, for the month, and that's it, that sort of thing. So what we're hoping is that on any given day, all of these restaurants that we contract with, the senior has a choice. they can go to. There's a senior menu available, and we're contracting with that restaurant. So there's other restaurants in different areas. We're working on Theo's down in Arcade. We're working with Sharon By at the Prospector in Attica, and John and Sarah's in Perry. Again, it's all talk right now. We've just got their interest, so they're looking over contracts right now and deciding. But it'll be a big change for us, but I think a good change. I think seniors, need the socialization, and if they have a program like this available, they'll use it. So we'll give it a shot.
And I think that little restaurant on Water Street in Pike is under new ownership too.
I know, that one was not interested. I don't know if it's maybe in time. I don't know if they're just getting their feet wet.
Sure.
But, we approached them, and right now it was, it wasn't like a meeting, it was just right now. Thanks, though.
Any questions regarding any of those services? Usage numbers? All right, number 2, we have amending salary schedule G for the Alzheimer's caregiver coordinator.
This was a mistake on my part when we were doing all of this. We did not think about our grant, or Jamie McGrath that does the Alzheimer caregiver. So we were able to go back and find money to make sure that she also got.
So this is all coming out of the grant.
Yes, 40% money.
Can I get a motion? Salary schedule, this position.
I'm not on the committee.
I know.
We're not amending a salary schedule though, right? It's just a,
Well,
right.
you're amending it for that one.
Okay, I'll do it.
Any questions or discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Now, before I give you my little annual report,
Okay.
you could add.
All right, your walk-in is amending resolution number 8, and this is regarding the Alzheimer's grant. Amending resolution 18-15 as previously amended by 18-47, 20-351, and 22-9 to add the grant amount received of $48,719, and all else.
It sounds a bit crazy, but really what's been happening with COVID is the grant that we received, they've been extending it. And this last time that we extended it 6 months, we did not put the amount of money in that we were granted, which was 48,000 something. We can't spend that money unless you approve us taking in that money. So, and that is 100% grant money. There's no levy attached to that.
Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? Supervisor Davis. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. And you submitted your annual report.
I don't know how this works. Have you had a chance to see it yet, or?
Just
briefly. Okay, I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on it because you can certainly read through it. This was a tricky one because again, it was a COVID year for us. So just a few highlights I thought I would let you know about. So in 2021, surprisingly, we were able to start a pilot program that was funded through the Ralph Wilson Jr. Foundation. And we're still working on it, but it's called Caregiver Tech Solutions. So what it is it's a program where we're linking our caregivers that are taking care of their loved ones with a respite solution through technology. So there are workshops on, you know, how to take care of yourself and things like that that they can sign into. They can do a webinar on different things. And then there's another part of this that we're going to be working on too. And there are some seniors who don't have, you know, the access. We all know that. So we are working with getting a bunch of tablets and hopefully being able to get those that would like one into their hands. And even if they don't have internet service, they could go to a local library or something like that. So, you know, it's kind of a new way of looking at things. The other thing you all know, I brought my kitty cat here one day. We've really gotten a lot of those animatronic pets out. It surprises me how many folks really love them. So if you know of anybody that needs a puppy or a kitty, I still have some in the office. The state actually paid for them and sent them to us. So we've got them to use. I don't think there's any big surprises with, you know, the revenues and expenditures, except we have had a lot of changes in our numbers. Just give you a few things. The nutrition program, obviously home delivered meals, congregate meals, that sort of thing. We were running around that 400,000 mark back in 2019. 2020, it was 485, and this year it was 479. So our big year was 2020. That's when we let anybody come on that needed a meal. And then in 2021, you can see it didn't go down very far, about $6,000. And I think really what happened is, you know, we started serving people that normally would not call the office. And then when we went back and assessed them, when we had to go back, they were truly eligible for the program based on their needs. So I don't know if I see that number going down a whole lot. I think we might just identify more people, more seniors that need a healthy meal. As far as home delivered meals, that really increased. We're usually around that 60,000 mark. Last year, 78, and this year, 75,000 meals delivered. Congregate meal numbers are way down, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Just the complete, you know, shutdown of things and people being scared, and then us not having a meal site supervisor. So in 2021, we served 2,112 meals at the congregate sites, as opposed to closer to 6,000 in years past pre-COVID. As far as I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know this isn't news to you, but our expanded in-home services for the elderly program is the program where we offer the nurses' aides to come into the home and help the seniors with activities of daily living. So in 2017, 18, we were well over like $250,000 for that program. In 2021, it was 104,000, which doesn't make me happy. And it doesn't make me happy because we have the people that need the help, but we don't have the aides to go in and help them. So I know you know that is a national problem, and we're all working on it. There's a bill that I'm in big support of that has to do with fair pay for home care, and hopefully we'll see some changes this year with that, with salaries and get their salaries up there so more people want to consider. So again, it's not that I don't have the money in my budget or the people that need it. I just don't have the aids to send in. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things here. You know, our respite services are down because a lot of things are closed, like the social adult daycare and whatnot. But we are still providing, and again, that's another one where we send aides into the home to give the caregiver a break. And we don't have a whole lot of aides. I mean, it is happening. I don't want you to think no one is getting served, but it's definitely fewer hours a week and less people. As far as our other programs go, I mean, we're really back up and running. I mean, 2021 numbers are a bit down. But it's down because we didn't have the people calling to come in. If we could provide assistance over the phone, you know, we did. Transportation was down because a lot of folks weren't requesting rides to doctors' offices. Our health insurance counseling though is, you know, alive and happy. We offer what I call it a unit of health insurance counseling. That's an hour that Darla or one of our girls spends with a client talking about their health insurance. And they provided 3,110 hours to, 1,378 seniors in the county. And we still do the Medicare 101 classes. Those are great for somebody that's turning 65, have some questions, but, you know, not really sure of it all. And, you know, even with COVID, we still had 210 people come to get information that way. I think probably the last thing I want to mention is that this Alzheimer's disease caregiver support initiative is probably one of the most important things I've seen come down the pike in the last 10 years. It's really taking a look at our county, who is caring for a loved one with dementia, and what we can do to give them respite. So when I mentioned each month how many families we're serving, those 50 families this month, prior to this grant, would have never received services from an organization like ours. And what we're able to do is to give them that much needed break that they need. Anybody that's been a caregiver, I'm not sure if anybody in here has, I mean, if there's a really high burnout rate, a lot of times husbands and wives, we see the caregiver die before the actual person that has dementia. So, you know, we are very excited. We're part of the next level of this grant, and we can, like, you know, if all goes well, it's been so successful across the state that, you know, we're going to be able to provide it for a long, long time because it's really helping people.
Do you have any idea how many individuals in the county have Alzheimer's?
Well, let me see if I mean, there's a percentage, but for us, we've had 519 families call us. I can't tell you if obviously there's probably more, but in 2021, 519 folks reached out to see if they might be eligible for some help. You know, I mean, I'm going to guess that, I mean, what is that percentage? Maybe 1 or 2% of the population, but let me look and see if I can get that number if the Alzheimer's Association knows that.
I don't know if there was something you would have or public health might have, because there's big individuals who are already receiving services.
Yeah. So I think I can get that number because if anything, it might be a percent that they have found a certain percentage of people in counties, you know, our size. It might not be an exact number, but it definitely, you know, we have a pretty large population of people that I never realized we had because people take care of their loved ones and you never hear about it. So that's really it. Does anybody have any questions or anything I can answer or you've been dying to know? Okay. It's here. Got some numbers for you here. Early intervention, I've got 74 active, and 18 additional kids are being evaluated. For preschool, we have 125 that are active. 30 of those are going to a center-based program. And I think last time I told you that we're full. I mean, our center-based programs have no more space. So right now I have 7 kiddos that are on a wait list if something should happen where a child leaves that classroom that they could get in. I don't want you to think they're not going to serve those therapies are being provided in the home. It can be a bit overwhelming though. If they are eligible for center-based, it means that they probably are being seen for multiple delays. So speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, they could be blind or deaf. There's just so many things in there. And when we send them to the center, they get all of them there. So, imagine a family that's having all of those therapists one by one come into the home. But it's not perfect, but it's better than them not getting service. So. That's it.
Great. Next on the agenda, we have an appropriation from grant funds to use for a youth trip to Niagara Falls, $860.
We try to apply for this grant every year. New York State gives out grants to take kids to state parks. And we've done Letchworth, we've done Niagara Falls, and I think this is the second time because it's a group of kids that sometimes would never get to go on the Maid of the Mist or the King of the Winds, and we take them out for the day and do that with them. We've got 40 going.
Supervisor Granger, there's a motion. Any discussion or questions on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And next is another appropriation. And that's the balance of your Kaboom grant.
We didn't get to spend it all last year because it rained so much. We could not get everything painted that we wanted to in the park, so we're gonna finish it up.
Can we get a motion on this? Supervisor Granger. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Lease with Pitney Bowes for 6 months. Amount not to exceed $8,298. And that is for actually for 60 months. Any questions regarding this? Now, may I have a motion to approve the lease? Supervisor Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 5, or agenda item number 5, is amending resolution 2211, correcting the dates for the contract with Brandy Duval. That is from December 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Any questions on that? Discussion? Can you get a motion on that? Supervisor McCormick? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And number 6, amends resolution 21-218, rescinds contracts with several individuals. And I did ask about this because Brandy Duval is also listed on this. And it's just that the services she provides that are specific to related service providers, that portion of what she's doing is being rescinded. She does provide other services. So. May I get a motion to amend this resolution? Supervisor Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, and then we have your youth bureau.
I do, and, again, I'll just quickly, highlights, yeah. Oh, so just, I thought a couple numbers that, are I think I mentioned in the beginning of last year that coming off of COVID, we were getting an awful lot of referrals for early intervention. So I went back just to peek, and in 2021, we had 118 new kids referred into the program. That doesn't mean that they were all eligible, but they were referred. A typical amount for us is around 78. So that's 40 more in Little Wyoming County. I don't know if it was COVID that, you know, kids got delayed. I mean, I'm kind of thinking some of that is probably what happened, where parents didn't want to call the doctor and have evaluations and go out into the community. But anyway, that's basically, you know, what's happening there. The early intervention program is in the midst of getting a new software program. If it's anything like Munis, I'm probably gonna have a heart attack. But it's a brand new hub that we're gonna work through, that we, you know, everything that we do with the children is put into that. And it's been delayed a number of times, but it looks like August will be, you know, this year will be going. As far as preschool, even though my numbers are high right now, they're still, you know, not any different than years past. We've been pretty much around that total amount of children, being somewhere between 160 and 185. That is an expensive program, as most of you know, because the tuition for the summer-based and the cost of the therapist is pretty expensive. You can look through, I mean, we're doing fun things with the kids in the summer, trying to make it educational as well as fun. We're ready to go for this summer. In the next month, we'll have all of the summer programs ready to go to the schools, and kids, you know, can sign up. So if you have any questions about that, you can, we're still providing the Omega program, which goes along with our youth court. Basically, you know, Omega is a program where, you know, anything that a child might need as far as community service or tutoring, or, you know, sometimes the court system makes referrals to us so that we get the kids the counseling and the services that they need. We did still hold youth court last year. We did end up having 11 cases, which, you know, it seems small, but it was a COVID year. So really, most of those happened from September on. We've had a lot of successful discharges from these programs. Actually, I think they only had one discharge that the child did not complete the program. Some other things, you know, I have the Safe Harbor program. That's the program that takes a look at human trafficking and child sexual exploitation. Last year was still a year of getting info out to people, just having them say, is there a problem? What does it look like? And so we did quite a lot of work in that area. As far as the revenues and expenses, just in case you've always wondered, we spend about $175,000 on the Youth Bureau. And then for preschool, we spend $1.8 million. And for early intervention, we spend about $400,000. So you can see the you know, we're taking care of 125 students, and it's costing us $1.8 million. So I can't imagine what some of the other, you know, counties costs. It's all relative, I know. But overall, though, for 2021, we did have more county tax levy. It really came down to the fact that our preschool numbers are up. So in 2020, we spent 1.4 million, and this year we spent 1.8. It's just all relative to how many kids were referred. That's what we got. Anybody have any questions? Such a quiet lunch today. That's okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If you could just look around to the end of our agenda.
Yeah.
And in fact, all the directors, we have a bunch of the NISAC resolutions that
Yeah, I
you
see.
want to comment on?
Okay, I saw that you had a few from me. Okay.
Sure.
I just do the signature. It's, a contract, but it doesn't need to go in this.
Okay. Yeah, 135. All travel authorizations.
Yes, we have 2 new caseworkers that started on Monday, and of course, they need to go to training. And the training is available now in person. So the first week they're in office, I believe it's April 11th, they do the work on the computer. And then they travel to Albany for 5 weeks. They're gone a week, they're back in the office a week. So it's back and forth.
Okay. All right. So these 5 are all for the same 2 individuals?
Yes.
Just a weekly breakdown.
Yep.
Any questions? Now can I get a motion to approve the travel? Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
My next one is asking for an account clerk. Last month, I requested a senior account clerk. This is in the support collection unit. So the person that was the account clerk moved up to the senior position. So now we need to backfill the account clerk position. There are only 5 people in this unit, and we're missing 2 right now because we also lost the support, one of the 2 support investigators. So I'm asking for both of these for support collection.
There are 2 positions here, the account clerk and the support investigator. Any questions regarding these? Now can I get a motion to approve? Supervisor Granger. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Number 8, we have professional services contract with Laboratory Corporation of America Holdings for DNA testing for paternity.
And this goes right along with support collection. Parents are tested through this lab corporation. You will see that the date is effective as of July of last year because they questioned the wording, the state questioned the wording. It came back to us, and then somebody else questioned the wording, so it was this back and forth, and they finally approved it. So it does, and we have been paying for this, even though this contract, but we didn't realize that the contract had not been approved.
So we don't have a resolution in place for this, right?
Probably not. But it does go through July, June of 2024, right?
And get a motion to approve contract. Supervisor McCormick. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, next is just an FYI for funeral payments for indigent.
Not just for one person, the family probably requested this particular funeral home.
Next is an appropriation of federal aid for rock salt.
Yes, we currently have a trailer in our upper parking lot that has deteriorated to the point where it's falling apart. The salt is stored in there, but the floor is rotted, it's full of critters. So we need a different container. And I believe Mike and Zach is getting a Connex container. That's what he told me this week.
This is our money. We approved this during the session, so we have.
Buildings and grounds, he asked for it.
Can I get a motion to approve the appropriation of these funds? Supervisor Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Disposition of fixed assets. Chevy and Fallon.
This is our last in Cala. You can see the mileage is almost 100,000. And it's just starting to nickel and dime us more than that, so we just need to go for that.
And I get a motion to dispose of the 2011 vehicle. Supervisor McCormick. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Grant application.
And this is another grant that the state of OCHDA has offered to us in the amount of $100,000 to help people with their rental supplements. This particular grant is supposed to help people that fall through the cracks. Like if they qualify for TA, temporary assistance, obviously they can get help through us. But there are people that are working, so they don't qualify for TA, but they still can't make rent. Or they have that rent. So this particular grant can help those people. And we won't be managing it. We are allowing community action to oversee this grant because they also see a different population than we do. So they can use the funds as well.
Any questions regarding the program funding? Now can I get a motion to approve it? The application. Supervisor Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And April proclamation. Child abuse, neglect prevention month.
Yes, and then we'll try to bring some people to the party, but they're usually reluctant to stop their work.
Okay.
I will let you know
Okay.
ahead of time.
All right. Okay. I get a motion to do the proclamation for April. Supervisor Granger. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And your monthly statistical report.
I do have my monthly stats and I would rather, you asked me to do a presentation.
Yeah.
So instead of looking at my
Okay.
report,
Okay.
which Andrea did because mine is like 30 pages long.
Yeah.
I was focusing on child protective
Okay.
this month because April was going to be child protective awareness. So last month Supervisor Roberts asked me what percentage of reports that we get are actually indicated, meaning we investigated and did we find out that the information was true. From the information I could find, it's about 65% are unfounded, which means the reports are not true, which is great. But it also means we spend a whole lot of time investigating reports. Not that I would say they're a waste of our time, because some of them are just vindictive reports made. But it is nice to know that there isn't as much abuse out there as we think. So about 35% of the reports over the course of a year do get indicated. So I want, if I'm talking too long, let me know, because I could go on and on about Child Protective.
How about like 3 to 5 minutes?
Okay, this will be the fast version then. I do have, well, this is safety factors that we look at when we go out to investigate a report. So the whole process starts with a report. Anybody can make a report. You can make a report, anybody can make a report. Some people are mandated. Everybody at DSS is mandated. So if you hear of something that has happened to a child,
Thank you.
we are mandated to make a report. Teachers are mandated, doctors, nurses. There are quite a few people that are mandated reporters, and if they hear something, even if they suspect it, they're supposed to file in a report. So that's how it starts. A report is made to what we call the hotline or the state central registry in Albany. Albany decides what county it belongs to. Like, I would make a report on somebody in another county, but it doesn't mean we're investigating it. Somebody in that other county would investigate. So the report starts with coming back to us through a system called Connections. And it is assigned to the supervisor in the Child Protective Unit. She reads the report and then she chooses one of the caseworkers, and it is done in order. There are 5 workers, and if it's your turn, you take the report. If it's in your village or town and you know the person, you might get a pass. And you go to the next one. Just because you shouldn't be investigating people that you know. In small communities, it happens quite a bit. So after the report is given to a caseworker, they have 24 hours to go out and do their initial assessment. That means they're looking to check on the safety of the children. If the report says that the children are being beaten, they talk to the children. They might go to the school so that the parents aren't around and talk to the children, usually with the school counselor. They talk to collaterals, who else has contact with the children besides the parents. If a child has visible bruises, the children may be removed and put in foster care, or a relative is sought out so that they don't have to be put in foster care. But we have 60 days. After that initial report, from the date it is given to us, we have 60 days to make a determination. That means, are we indicating it and saying, yes, something truly did happen, or we unfound it and say, no, it did not happen. So the state keeps track of those 60 days. And if it's not done within 60 days, then it's considered overdue. Do we get penalized? No, but the state will say, hey, you have cases that are overdue. You really should make every effort to get them done within 60 days. If you see my stats, you'll see that we got 60 to 65 reports in a month. Now, workers, it can be hard to get those reports done in a 60-day time period. But it has to be done. So we're quite busy. The Child Protective Services Act has only been in effect since 1973. So if you think about it, that's not really a long time ago. Before that, children weren't really protected by law anyways. So the SCR, the State Central Registry, receives calls 24/7. We have caseworkers on call from 5 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock the next morning. So if reports come in during the night and it's essential that they go out, they go out. But if it's something that can wait till the next day, then they wait until the next day. Let's see what else they want you to know. I mean, talk about child abuse, and there's also child maltreatment. So abuse encompasses when a child is harmed physically. Maltreatment is more about they don't have a roof over their head, or they don't have the basics, food, shelter, clothing. That's more maltreatment. And some people really live on the bare minimum. And we say, if you have a roof over your head, you have food in the fridge and cupboards, you're doing fine. It might not be the best of circumstances, but we're not gonna remove your kids because you don't have enough. And we don't take children willy-nilly. The media, especially television, portrays that children are removed all the time. We do not want your children. We don't have enough foster homes to take children into foster care, so we work to keep the children in the home as much as possible. If they can't stay in the home, then we're looking for a relative, we're looking for grandma, we're looking for an aunt, a neighbor, anybody that is willing to take the children in, and then we might ask that person to become certified as a foster parent. But we really don't want to take your children into foster care. They're going to thrive much better in a home setting that they're familiar with. So at the end of the 60 days, there are several scenarios. We can indicate a case and just close it. If it's not a bad case, here's a good example. A parent hit their child with a hairbrush on their backside. And the child went to school, didn't leave a mark, but the child went to school and said, "Mommy hit me with the hairbrush this morning on my glove." So she tells a teacher. Teacher calls in a report because she's a mandated reporter. So we do our investigation, we determine that there's no mark left on the child, and it really was just the first time that the parent has done this. So we indicate it because yes, something did happen, but then we just close it. No further services are needed because the parent is contrite, ashamed, say she will never do it again. We can indicate an open for services, which means it goes on to a foster/preventive worker, and that case stays open, but under a different name. We indicate an open for other reasons. Maybe the parent needs drug and alcohol counseling, but the children remain in the home. So there's so many different scenarios that can happen. I just can't lay them all out for you because every situation is different. But we have, of course, preventive workers that work with the family ongoing, and after the 60 days, then the case may be referred to a foster or preventive caseworker. So that they're still being seen in the home. That's my short version. Any questions about child protective? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to point out this key safety factors. Excuse me, new workers might, it's called the pocket guide, and new workers might carry this around with them. But the seasoned workers, these are actually listed in the connection system when they go. I mentioned the connection system. That is a computer program that is hooked up with all of these, so they can see everything that we put into our case notes. There's assessments that need to be done, and the assessments are done using these safety factors. So if they're in the connection system, they're actually going through all of these and saying yes or no for each one of these. And if there are several of these that are yes, then there's a reason to keep the case open. So it helps them make a determination.
Any other questions?
Next on the agenda, we have the NICEAG conference resolutions. And I will just read through all 7 of them. Just briefly, a brief synopsis. And if any of our department heads wish to make a comment on them, I'd appreciate it. Have a discussion if needed and motions on them. The first one is adjusting early intervention rate structure to include access to services for children who speak a language other than English. The second one is to complete Affordable Care Act enhanced federal medical assistance percentage reconciliations that are years overdue and provide a full accounting of funds owed to counties and a scheduled release of the federal funds. Gradually eliminate the county fiscal responsibility for preschool special education and summer school special education programs. Expand veteran services and increase the coordination and information between federal, state, and local veterans agencies. Raise the child care subsidy rate and increase the total allotment to social services districts in order to improve equitable access to child care across the state. Restore critical state funding support for child welfare services, safety net programs, and fully fund the recent foster care rate settlement with state resources. And lastly, focus on rent allowance and standard of need, including restoration of 50/50 cost sharing for safety net programs, and clarifying its homelessness prevention goals by making permanent housing the central focus. I don't know if anyone wishes to comment on this or any of the state organizations that have anyone.
I sit on the committee down there with it, and they were all good. We went over in depth, and like we say, several of them been around and resubmitted again under different year, you know.
Okay, Director Sullivan.
Sorry, with resolution 4, this was in reference to the proposal to increase the grant from 10 to 25,000. One question, the other question, they're gonna be, you know, what kind of more coordination and all that? Does that mean that we're gonna have a larger workload in the office because we're already employing everything? We're stretched on the thinner side of things. That's one thing, 2 things I'd like more information on. That's number 4.
You got that resolution?
Yeah. I can read it quick. So it says, whereas county officials, many of whom have served in the military, bear great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served their country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas counties support our military veterans in a variety of ways, including through county veteran affairs offices throughout the state that provide direct services to those that have sacrificed so much. And whereas there are an array of supportive services and programs for veterans provided by the U.S. Department of Defense, DoD, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, the State Division of Military Affairs, and County Veteran Service Agencies. And whereas despite the multiple layers of services, there is a lack of coordination and information sharing between these intergovernmental partners, which inhibits the outreach by county veteran service officers, CVSOs, to new veterans, exacerbating the challenges associated with the transition to civilian life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wyoming County Board of Supervisors applauds Governor Kathy Hochul for her budget proposals to expand the Veterans Tax Credit, increase funding for county veteran service agencies, and expand the Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Support and Counseling Program. And be it further resolved that the Wyoming County Board of Supervisors calls on the USDOD, USBA to increase coordination and information at the federal level and with the state and local partners to more effectively connect transitioning service members with state and county Veterans Affairs agencies prior to their departure from active duty. We have further resolved that NICEAG shall forward copies of this resolution to President Joe Biden, the county that's still. Governor Kathy Hochul, New York State Legislature, New York State Congressional Delegation, which will change that out to be NICEAG and intercounty. And all others deemed necessary and proper. That's it.
Okay, all right, that clarifies a lot. I just hope, want to say with the DOT corporation, when I got out, older veterans got out, and veteran I'm helping discharge in January, they don't have benefit. And they don't even know they're eligible for 5 years of being out there. So the DOT side alone, I don't hope we make that coordination. Thank you for that.
I'd say number 2, which is the representation gas. And I know we simply asked for a FOIL request to get how much they owe us. It was 178,000 or something. And that's just our little county. And the weird thing is, it took less than a month for them to give us the reconciliation. I know almost all the other counties have asked for their, so they have the number. It's not like they don't have the number, it's just a matter of just, give us the money because it's ours. It's bizarre. I don't understand why,
And they were saying the one that hasn't done it yet is New York City. They're trying to get the city to do it. And that's who they figure they owe the most to, is the city. And they can't understand why the city won't ask for it. For those numbers.
They have that change in their head. The commissioner of New York City resigned, and they have several, but the main person just retired.
So maybe they'll have some success.
Any other concerns?
Childcare rate increase one, we're getting a lot of extra money right now for childcare to the point where we can't spend it. So, and then they're calling us weekly saying, what are you doing to boost your numbers? So can I hear that one, Cheryl?
Yeah, which title was that?
I just wrote down childcare rate increase. I don't know, that's number 2.
it's number 5, Cheryl.
Yes.
Raising the child care subsidy rate. Have the rates increased per hour?
No, hourly rate has increased.
It's probably what they're trying to say is to increase the hourly rate. You know, they approved, there's
We
only
don't
pay.
have a whole lot of daycare.
Right, so increasing the hourly rate, they'll be able to spend that federal money.
A lot of people got out of the daycare business
Yeah.
because there were too many
Rules.
to jump through.
Okay,
I don't have to read that, I know what it's about.
okay. It's a 2-pager, thanks, Kim.
And the state's already been, the monthly meetings that the commissioners have, we've already been talking about trying to restore the child welfare funding. And they cut it every year.
Yeah.
We still have kids in foster care. We still have preventive cases. We should be reimbursed for it. And when the money's gone, then it gets borrowed from somewhere else.
And there was another big, long discussion on the homeless. Hey, you are aware of that.
Yeah, well, there isn't enough housing.
That is their issue, and even the hotels.
Yeah, we don't have I shouldn't say we don't have a lot. For the size of our county, we probably have a substantial amount of homeless people, and they're staying in hotels because there's no housing. And the landlords that we did have, they sold, some of them sold their places. But they got hurt, they weren't getting paid. during COVID. So they
And what was
paid
some,
mortgages.
and what was some of the stipulations they were putting on the hotels along with that, you know,
They
they
didn't follow through with that.
threw it, but they
Yes.
threatened to do that and
Right,
that made a lot of the hotels say, we're not taking it.
right. We're very lucky that East Hill still takes our people, and we put some in Agrica. And if need be, we truck them to Batavia. But
Yeah, they have some people that have burned bridges, which not only affects them being able to
Very interesting.
get housing in the future, but it impacts other ones who are looking for maybe an easier tenant to handle in there.
people just cringe when people come in and say they don't have a place to live because we're got that.
Any other questions or comments regarding resolutions or agenda items 1 through 7? And resolutions. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve them or Supervisor Granger. All in favor? Opposed? Here. Anything else to come before the committee today? We are adjourned. Thank you.
We didn't sit there like 8 acre across from the bar. Yeah.